And there, thank you. Just for Inca teachers and just celebrating our 21st anniversary as Grupo Educativo Inca. Today to talk about something, the one thing, the starting point of everything. Today we have Amparo Quiñones, academic consultant for Oxford University Press, giving this brief talk on well-being. We as teachers, we prepare our classes, we prepare ourselves, we've got to the point of starting helping students getting ready for sessions, but what about life? What about the life beyond the class and beyond the level? How can we combine these two and aiming to not just learn, but develop in our sessions? This is what we're going to be walking through today. And without any further ado, Ms. Amparo, this is all yours.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much, teacher, for introducing me. I'm Amparo Quiñones, and I've been a teacher for many years. I understand what being a teacher means. And we know that if we want to give, let's call perfect classes, the most acquaintable and the most direct classes, we must feel good. Well-being starts always with us. If we want to have a good environment in our class, everything starts with us. It cannot start somewhere else. It has to start with the institution, with us. Well-being starts today, when at this very moment that we are talking. You might say, okay, well-being, I know how I handle the class. I know my students have to be in well-balanced. However, but have you ever thought about yourself as a teacher, delivering a class, your mood, how you move, how you feel, and how you are reacting to different situations? Because it is not a time when we get into the classroom. Before we get into the classroom, there's certain background. When we start the classes, we may have already walked some blocks to get to the institution. We might have waken up early, might taking a bus or whatever. So all these little details count on our everyday class and on our well-being. Well-being is always starting with us. We compare the well-being to the others or to the people surrounding us, but it has to start with us. For example, how are you feeling today? In scale from 1 to, let's say, from 1 to 5, how are you, or let's say from 1 to 10, how are you feeling today? Number 1 is low splits, and number 5 is kind of, and number 10 is high energy. I would like you to write in the chat box, how are you feeling today? All right. Some of you are writing. I know that some of you might say low spirits. That's normal. That's something very normal. And it is not against life. Sometimes it is acceptable feeling low spirits. We're human beings. But from there, from a low spirit, we can go to a medium spirit and later go to a high energy step. It depends on us as human beings, as not only as teachers, because you might say, oh, as teachers. No, well-being starts with me as human being, as mom, as dad, as professionist, maybe as a couple, as a citizen, as everything, and as in every stage of human being as we pass through. It is not only me as a teacher. If I'm talking about well-being, it's me as a human being. And if I want to firm a well or a balance well-being, I need to be good and have a good well-being inside myself. And it's normal that, as mentioned, have a low spirit sometimes. Or even sometimes when we are waking up, sometimes we are low in spirit. However, throughout the day or maybe taking a shower is going to help us to have a high energy. Or the time we get to home when it's late, maybe 9, 10, or sometimes later, we have spent the whole day working hard. But what do we need? We need to have a little bit more energy to go to sleep. The kind of energy is different than the one that we need to have early in the morning. But at the end is energy. Energy, a different energy to go and be able to fall asleep. It is important to mention that when we want to be in a well balance and have a well-being, we need to start with different things. Since the time we wake up and we have our breakfast is very important. Health, it's part of our health. Well-being starts there with having good food, with having good water, drinking water, and by being or having a good mental health. Sometimes we forget some of these three things. We are not supposed to forget them if we need to have a good well-being. All right, let's see. Let's continue. We have well-being starts today. The agenda for today is a working definition of well-being, tools and techniques to increase well-being, because that's what we want. What is our vision for the future by taking action, but well-being? Let me give me an opportunity to hide this because I cannot see the screen widely. Yeah, here it goes. All right, let's see. Okay, let's see. Let's start with section 1, a working definition of well-being. Do you know what mindful means? I would like to know if you know what mindful means. Open your microphones or tell me. What is mindful? What is the definition, or what comes to your mind when you hear about mindfulness? All right.
Awareness?
Awareness, yes, it's part of it. Another idea. All right, I will give you a definition for mindfulness. It is a mental state achieved on the present moment, the here and the now, how I'm feeling, what am I thinking, while I'm accepting the feelings and truth that comes to you, and thoughts, so the thoughts that are coming to me in this very moment, if I was late to the session, if I got in time, or if I didn't have lunch, then, and these techniques support me to survive in the real world. My mindful is what I have inside my mind, right? And this technique is going to support me to get relaxed. Mindful, okay? So starting from the starting point that mindful is going to support me to put in balance all my thoughts and ideas, it means that it is going to help me to have a good well-being. Mindful has relation to the acts and how I act and react to different situations. If I am positive or if I am negative, right? We always have two roads. Should I go to the right, the positive, or to the left, the negative? Mindful supports me to focus always on a positive environment, on something positive. We note that obviously not everything is perfect. There are moments when we need or we start thinking about the negative facts. However, our mindful, that positive state of mind, should go to the correct way and give us and provide us with the resources we require to live better and have a better positive attitude towards the things we are or happening in this very moment, for example. It is important to mention that your mindful is a state by each one of us. You cannot tell me I'm part of Think Positive. Of course not. It doesn't work that way. It has to be something different. We need to create consciousness and then start working with mindfulness. And the time we do this, we would go to the direct way and have an advantage and take an opportunity out of those things that might not be so positive for us. Right? This is mindfulness. All right. How can we be more mindful on our own well-being in our daily lives? How do you think we can think positively in our everyday life? How? I would like you to answer in the chat box or open your microphone. Well, an idea is breathing in and breathing out. That's only an idea. We're going to check more research. However, breathing in and breathing out could be an excellent idea. It is important to mention that we as human beings, most of the time, we trend to be negative. However, if we start changing our mindset, our way of thinking, it is going to support us and give us the opportunity to change in a little details in our everyday life. And we are going to be happier. And this is what we're going to show our colleagues, our classmates, our students, everybody, even in our house. Sometimes we know that when we are at the institution in front of a class, we ask somebody to answer something or do something and they don't do it, we might get mad. But if the same happens at home with our son, our daughter, or with somebody inside our home, we explode, right? We change our way of acting. Why are we doing this? Is it trust? Or is it because at the institution may come the coordinator and say, oh, teacher, why are you acting that way? So the first thing we have to state and be aware of is that we need to be empathic. Act with the others the way you would like the others to act with you. Everything starts with us. It is not a matter of the others. It corresponds to me. All right, let's see. Let me change the slide. Okay, we have the first definition for well-being is feeling positive, having pleasant experiences, being happy in the moment, right? So this is the first easy definition that we can find. Being positive. If I want to be or have a well-being, I need to feel positive, have a pleasant experiences, and being happy in the moment. We also have a second definition, and the second one goes to PERMA. All right, PERMA is a way in which we can explore how are we feeling or how well-being is direct to. Okay, so it is important to mention that the second definition, it's PERMA, is more lasting and solid for life, and it is more detailed. It is generally accepted by all psychologists. And the PERMA model was proposed by Martin Seligman, an American psychologist held in the Feather of Positive Psychology. It was in 2013, so it's not long ago. And it expands to define well-being in greater depth, right? Then, but you might be asking now, what is PERMA? PERMA is an acronym and it has a meaning that stands for each letter, right? It is mentioned that now, after the pandemic, another fact has been added to PERMA model. All right, it 6 facet has been added. A 6, it's not a letter. However, it is a 6 element that has been added to PERMA model. All right, do you know what stands for the first 2 letters of PERMA? What do you think P and E stand for in PERMA? Let's see, do you have any idea? Let's see, I cannot see anybody talking, writing in the chat box. Okay, don't worry. Excuse me?
Positive, well, something positive
Yes,
feeling.
very good, teacher. P stands for positive emotions, and E starts with engagement. All right? When we are talking about positive emotions, we have the ability to feel and express joy, commitment, and happiness. When somebody hugs us, how do we feel? We feel, or we are expressing joy, we feel commitment, and of course, we are feeling happy. And engagement. Engagement goes to being happily absorbed in satisfying tasks. So, what am I going to do? Those tasks that I enjoy doing, maybe cooking, giving classes, because I love giving classes. So, those actions that make me happy are part of my PERMA as human being. It is important to mention that in PERMA, we are intensely focusing on concentration on the present moment, not about what happened yesterday, not about my memories, not about what I expect to happen in the future. This is what I am having and presenting my emotions at this very moment. This is what PERMA goes to. Okay, a loss of effective self-consciousness and lack of attention to itself. I don't care about other stuff. It is only this feeling that I'm having now, and then how I'm dealing with it. Of course, it implies a sense of personal control or agency in the situation. This is not about what happened in the morning. This is what is happening at this very moment that you are listening to this talk. How are you feeling? Is it referring to PERMA? Okay, there is, when we are exploring the PERMA, we are experiencing the activity or situation in an instinct by a means of an instinct reward. It is, I care about what I'm feeling. No, I don't care about what the others say about what I'm feeling. All right? So this is the moment how I feel. And this is the important fact, how I'm feeling, not about what the others might think, about what the others might say about my feeling. It's only about me. All right. So let's continue. What do you think the R and M stand for? What do they stand for in PERMA model? Let's see if somebody has an answer. If not, don't worry. We are going to check that in PERMA, we have R that stands for relationships and M that stands for meaning. When we are talking about relations, it means having positive and healthy social connections. We know that as human beings, we're always looking for healthy social connections. However, sometimes we say, I was talking to my neighbor next door, and she was telling me many negative things. So I don't ever want to talk to her. So this is what we have to be aware of. When we are using the PERMA model, we're always looking for healthy social connections. And that's what we need to focus on and direct our thoughts and way on PERMA model. Then and meaning goes to having a sense of purpose in your life and action. Okay, I want to be happy. What am I going to do to be happy? I want to get more money, because that could be an incentive. I want to get more money, but it's not only the idea of I want to get more money. How am I going to do this in a healthy way? Because working from 7 in the morning to 11 at night is not healthy. It is not part of our well-being. We are destroying our well-being because we want to be rich or to earn more money, there must be a balance in life. Among all the things I do, the things I can achieve, and the things I have to do. We have to be aware about this. And there must be a balance, and they need to match. I need to have time to work, to eat, to rest, and to have fun. I choose the people that are surrounded by these 4 facts. If I want to know, I have to be healthy by eating well. Okay, what am I going to eat? Am I going to eat tacos all every day at 2 in the afternoon? Or maybe tostadas, whatever I can find? Every morning, am I going to eat tamales? That is not healthy. If I want to enjoy my well-being, I need to eat well. It has to be something meaningful. It has to make match in my mind. It is not eating well because somebody is asking me or even demanding me to eat healthy. It must be meaningful for me because I need my body to be in balance. So I need to be strong enough and be convinced, and it has to be meaningful for me to accomplish this goal and to eat healthy. And of course, in a balanced way, or by having a balanced well-being, I need to be aware about everything I do, and it has to be conscious. All right. Then let's continue with the last 2 letters. We have well, it's only 1 letter because the other one is the extra that has been added to the PERMA model. A stands for what? Do you have any idea? Do you have any idea of what A stands for?
No.
I know. Okay. A stands for accomplishment. Accomplishment means achieving personally meaningful goals. It can be presented by finishing a career, by a house, a car, right? Accomplishment. All right? And when we're talking about accomplishment, it is not only those things that are surrounding me. It can be also my feelings. For some people, getting married could be an accomplishment. Or maybe having a baby, being a mom, being a dad. Or maybe found an institution, a public institution, that provide food to people who do not have it. This also could be part of accomplishment. All the things that I want to achieve and to accomplish. But know the things that the others want me to accomplish, the things that I want as human being, as person, as teachers. When we are working with this PERMA model, it is important to mention that after the pandemic, something else has been added, and it is physical health. Why? Because during the pandemic, most of us forgot about physical health. Most of the time we were sitting down in front of the computer. We usually, once in a while, maybe once every 2 weeks, we used to go to the supermarket. There were, well, I was going to say there were no parks. Yes, there were parks, but we were not able to go there and run and do some exercises. Gym was closed. So physical health is now part of PERMA model. And remember that this PERMA model is going to help us to have a good well-being. That well-being is not yours. That well-being is not your mom's and your family's or your students' well-being. It is a world's well-being. And we have to start with us. And if we pay attention to this PERMA model, we are going to have a good well-being. Remember, we must have positive emotions. It's normal if sometimes we say, oh my God, I hate this. It's normal. But if I hate doing this, maybe cleaning my house, how can I overcome that hate? Maybe listening to some music while I sweep could be a good idea. Maybe if I have money, I can hire somebody to support me. Or maybe I can make phone calls while I can talk to my maybe to my parents, to a friend. I can make phone calls while I am doing my housework, sweeping, doing washing dishes or whatever. Maybe a good thing to do would be singing. It depends on us. We have to look for those resources that we can have to make our life easier. Well-being has relation with making our life easier. Once, when we love something or doing something, we feel happy and things are easy. Not everything is going to be easy, or we would enjoy doing everything. It's normal. But if we don't enjoy doing something, we have to pay full attention on that thing we don't like to do. And then, what can I do? What little change? What can I add to make this activity a little bit more active or less boring? And the time you think about it, you will notice that you will have the opportunity to add a little something that will make this activity a little bit less boring or a little bit more attractive. But it depends on us. We have the key, not the rest of the people surrounding us. Many teachers, it's important to mention that many teachers are working with well-being implicit in their classes without formally telling the students. We don't tell the students we are working with a good well-being. We don't tell them, but they know it because they notice that we are happy, that we are enjoying what we are doing. We practice well-being throughout carefully planned activities designed to make lessons engaging, fun, and inclusive. It is not only the lesson, it is my class. And it is not only for the students. If I make my students' life difficult, my life as a teacher is going to be more difficult. Everything starts with me. If I want to be happy, I need to provide my students the necessary resources to make their life easier in their learning process. Sometimes we even think in Spanish, oye, este grupo, ¿cómo me cae gordo? ¿Y qué voy a hacer? I start thinking on what to do. No. If I don't like working with this group, what can I do to change my mindset? Not only my mindset, also my students' mindset. If I change my mindset, the others, in this case, my students, will notice it, and they will, and I will notice that they are having a change in their way of acting. So be aware about this. If we are mentally health balanced, if we are working on our well-being, the others will notice it. And something important, they will not only notice it, they will change their mindset. They would say, oh, ¿por qué hoy se portó tan buena onda? Okay, something important. Having or being in a good well-being doesn't mean that I'm going to give answers, I'm going to give all my students good grades. No, that is not well-being, my own well-being. It means that I'm going to work more. No, it doesn't mean that I'm going to work less. It means that I'm going to work more. So be careful with this. We have to be very careful with this. Okay, when you teach in a way, wait a second, please, because Alexa listened something and she's playing a trick on me. Sorry, Alexa listened to me and she was playing a trick on me. When you teach in a way to reduce learner anxiety, promote STEAM in our students or enhance learning motivation. You are already finding ways to teach for students' well-being. So if you want to teach your students to be happy during your class, you cannot control them. But when they are inside your class, you can control how they feel. Why? Because if I'm in a bad mood and I deliver my lesson in a bad mood, my students will follow my pattern. It is exactly that when I sneeze, if I say, achoo, what would happen at the very moment? Somebody else will sniff, and so on. If I say, oh, what would happen if I snore? The others will start snoring. The same happens when we get into the classroom and when we have a good mood or a bad mood. And remember, the mood is part of our well-being. Good or bad being, of course. All right. It is important to recognize how we feel. Okay, here I have some squares. Some of them are focusing on high energy. The yellow and the red one, and the blue and the green one are part of low energy. The blue one and the red one are part of unpleasant. Low energy and high energy, but they are unpleasant. And the green one and yellow one are part of pleasant and high energy. All right? So let's see. It is important sometimes to recognize how are we feeling. Sometimes if I feel happy, is it a high energy or low energy? Is it pleasant or unpleasant? Let's try to check out some feelings together. The first thing we need to consider is to prove to understand the cause. Why am I feeling happy? It is important to know, why am I feeling sad? Once we explore our feelings inside ourselves, we can detect how we can overcome those situations that are not so convenient or nice for our well-being. Sometimes we feel stressed. The question is not only how can I overcome this? The first question that we're supposed to ask ourselves, I'm stressed. Why am I stressed? Sometimes we're stressed and we do not know why. So we cannot overcome and fight against this stress. We need to realize how we can express this feeling. If I am stressed, maybe I can talk fast. I say, okay, we need to hurry up. We need to finish this topic. Maybe that's a way in which I am expressing my stress. Maybe if I am getting mad, or if I am mad, I would say, hey, you students, you over there at the back. My voice is changing. First, I need to know, why am I feeling that way? And then, how can I control the shouts I'm giving the others? And then we need to analyze how we can regulate this feeling. Okay, I am stressed. I know. Why am I stressed? Because I didn't finish explaining a topic. Okay, what can I do? I need to be more direct to explain this topic. I don't need to be stressed, because when we are feeling or we are having an unpleasant feeling and with a low energy or high energy, things are going to explode. It's like a volcano, and we are not going to have the possibility to overcome the situation, or to not overcome, to control the situation. If I am angry, I will have a very high energy and it will be unpleasant. It will be part of the red and blue squares, right? So I need to control myself. How am I going to do this? I will give you some resources a little bit later. For example, if I am now feeling very happy, It is a pleasant feeling. I'm full of energy. I am yellow now. Okay? Any comment, teacher? Something you would like to add? Then, if no comments, let's continue. Feeling angry? Move to a relaxed state by taking 5 or 6 deep breaths. If I am angry, okay, there you some years ago, I'm a little bit elder than you. Some years ago, there was an announcement that say, respira hondo y profundo y cuenta hasta 10. Right? Now, there's no need to breathe in. There's no need to count up to 10. You need to breathe in and count 5 times. If you do this, your angriness will go to a different state. Why? Because when you are breathing it, your blood runs inside your body in a different way. When you are feeling angry, blood runs fast, quite fast. There's some even that gets reddish in all the body. But when people breathe in and out, blood starts flowing and flowing in a different way, in a more relaxed way. That's when people are not getting red or ashamed sometimes. We go to a pleasant state, and there, during these seconds when we are breathing in and out, an idea, and if we open our mindset, an idea would come to our mind to overcome the situation, or getting to know how to control that angriness that we are feeling. If there is time and opportunity, walk. A walk can help us a lot. Sometimes you might say, okay, I'm in a classroom and something terrible happened. What can I do? Breathe in, breathe out, and walk. Walk inside the classroom. And then during these seconds, you will have the answer on how to control the situation. It is not a matter of giving a precise on this very moment solutions. Even when we are in danger, we need to breathe in and act. But let's try not to act at the very moment when things are happening. Breathe once. If there's an opportunity, if we are in danger, of course, but if there's an opportunity, breathe in 5 times. And you will lower your stress or your angriness or that unpleasant and high energy feeling that you are suffering. And I'm mentioning the word suffering, because when we are having an high energy with an unpleasant feeling, we are suffering. It's like having something here in our chest, in our head. So we need to be aware about this and do not take decisions when we have a high energy and unpleasant feeling. Okay, if you feel disappointed, move to a relaxed state by thinking about the cause of regulating your response to it. What can I do? Sometimes we say, oh my God, which is the answer? Okay, when this happens, we are suffering a lower energy state, and we need to go to a more pleasant state. We need to balance our emotions. Of course, as I mentioned many times, it's normal to have low energy, high energy, and unpleasant feelings. But we need to go quickly from one side to the other side. Of course, we can be in between, and it's normal. But when we are in between, it's our decision. If we go again to a high energy and unpleasant feeling, or the other side. It's up to you. It's up to each one of us. I can give you many tips, and you can even enrich these tips. However, it's up to each one of us. Well-being refers to my well-being, not to yours. Each one is responsible of his and her own well-being. And remember, feelings are part of our well-being. Then work on moving on a relaxed feeling to a high energy status. Turn disappointment into excitement by consciously reframing your thought process. A ver, it's like, a ver. When I use, in my case, I usually tell to myself the word a ver. When I use these words, we all have a word or a movement that takes me to reflection. When I use the word a ver inside my mind or even tell it to somebody, it means I need to breathe in and think 1 second to continue. Just think about the phrase, the body movement that you make when you need to think and get a solution. Think about it. Then we can improve our sense of well-being throughout conscious actions. Sometimes we say, okay, I'm not in the best place ever. Sometimes when we go to let's say, to reunion, we get together with some friends and I say, oh my God, this is not for me. We have 2 options. Okay, the first option, if everything is under control, I can adapt to the team, to the group, or to the reunion, if it is convenient. Maybe adapting to them could not be the best suitable action. Maybe they're drinking too much. And I say, okay, if I join them to drink, that's not the best option for me. I need to stop here, thank the person who invited me, and go. Or on the other hand, sometimes we do not adapt to the situation. Everybody's playing, everybody's having fun, and I say, I don't want to have fun. It's acceptable, but the reflection would be, why am I here? Did I take the best option? So anytime we need or we want to check if we're going to accept an invitation, we need to check if that's what we want, or if that is exactly that goes according to our well-being. Sometimes being in a reunion that ends at 5 in the morning and I have to work at 7, that's not the best option. How am I going to handle the situation? Leaving the reunion or the party at 10 or 12. So these are options that we have to consider. We also need to develop individual character strengths. If I know this is not convenient for me, I'm not going to do it. And I have to be aware about this. Even though my closest friend asked me to do this, if I know this is not the best option for me, don't do it. Because you will be hurting maybe your body, maybe your feelings. And of course, there will be a wrong mark in your well-being state. All this goes to mental well-being, and mental goes to feelings. We have to be aware that when we have actions, those actions go directly to, or they spring to something specific. If I do this, the consequence will be this one. Is this action suitable for me? Should I continue the action? Or should I stop? These are the decisions that we have to make. And we have to be aware about this. And when we make good decisions, we will be on the well-being path. If we don't do it, sorry, we will have to be resilient. Why resilient? Because we won't get exactly what we wanted. We have now the opportunity to be resilient and take advantage of this thing that is happening to me. And now I can overcome and change it to something positive. Not all things are negative. We have to take something positive out of everything we are living or passing by that is not so nice for us. That is changing our mindset. This is happening. I cannot change it. How can I overcome it? and take advantage of it. This is part of resilience. All right. To support well-being, critically evaluate existing resources. Course books integrating well-being and mindfulness. We can read a lot if we want to have a balanced well-being. And they are already done now for us. We can even jump into internet and we can get lots of free books related to well-being and mindfulness. Then collaborative projects on aspects of well-being. Collaborative projects, why? Because we can ask maybe a colleague, a friend to do exercise with us. Maybe I don't like running alone, and I want to do it with somebody. Maybe doing exercise with somebody, with a colleague, with a friend could be a good option. That could be my well-being project. Or maybe eat healthy for 3 weeks. Have a balanced diet. Maybe I can make a competition with a colleague or with somebody. And that will help me a lot. Promote discussion, reflection, and action. You have friends. And if you don't have friends, you need to look for friends. Because being friendly, having friends, it's part of well-being. We are not living in an isolated world. As we usually work with our students, they work in teams, in peers. We also need to have peers, friends to work and to be related with. Yoga is becoming increasingly more popular. Yoga can control our minds and our body. And remember, when we are controlling our minds, our body, and even our eating habits, they will all be part of our well-being. Well-being and mindfulness are all. These two are together. They're not fighting each other. They are together. It's doing exercises, it's living a good life. It's also having activities to do. Activities to do is not only going to the gym or running or whatever. It's me as human being and as a professionist, I need to do the things that correspond to my profession as teacher. I need to accomplish all the things that the institution is asking me to do. Sometimes we say, yes, demasiado. Oh, the coordinator, the principal are asking us for all this stuff. Yes, it's because it's required. And if we are always complaining, we are not thinking about our well-being. We are not going to change some things. So what do we have to do? We need to adapt to them. Maybe doing my lesson plan every week, it's boring and tiring and I don't have time. Yeah, it is. Why not? It can be. However, if I have to do it, I cannot change it. So I need to have a research on how things can be better for me. What can I do? Maybe I can do my lesson plan. I can plan 2 weeks and it can be easier for me. So, but we as human beings and teachers and professionals, we have to look for those resources and things that can support us. Then, free time. Free time is part of well-being. Sometimes doing nothing means a lot. It's part of our well-being. Be creative. If you have a free time, maybe reading, cooking, watching a movie, or quiet time. When we are in quiet time, we can have the possibility to reflect on the things we have done, on the things that are happening now, or maybe thinking about nothing. Listening to nice music could be a good resource for me to get relaxed. Instead of being in a very high energy, I'm in a balanced energy. I can breathe in. It is important to mention that sometimes we are not living life because we are doing things like robots. When was the last time that you took a flower or got closer to a flower and felt the smell of the flour. Sometimes we eat so fast that we do not taste food as we are supposed to do it. We do not know if the food was sour, salty, sweet, because we're doing things as robots. And if we're doing things like as robots, we are against our well-being. Of course, we do not need to forget that we have to work with active statement in our body. We need to move. It's not always all the time resting and doing nothing and thinking. No, there must be a balance. And we need to react, to move. When we are not moving during our free time, we need to plan also activities that imply body movements. And it's also a way to relax and have fun. Let's think a little bit about the tools and techniques to increase well-being, because it's very important to increase it. Okay, then it is when you take a look at this image, you might say tools, tools, tools. Yes, it's the tools we can have to be in a well-balanced state. We need to reset our minds, to start thinking positively. We know that sometimes when we talk to some people, we say, oh my God, he's very negative. Yes, we need to start changing our own way of thinking so that the others can look, or we can even support the others. If somebody gives you or tells you something negative, try to give that person a positive statement. Maybe this person told you, oh, it was a terrible day. It was raining all day. I don't like these rainy days. I hate them. They give me a headache. Yeah, but did you have the opportunity to feel the rain next to you? Did you listen to the rain falling down? While you were waiting in the traffic, were you listening to your favorite music? So try to change that mindset of people, and that people or person will start reacting in a different way. If you don't get it, don't worry. Say goodbye to that person. Move to a different place. But because as I mentioned, if I snore, you are going to snore. So maybe you might go to the negative thoughts. And that's not precisely what we want as human beings. Sports and physical exercises are really important as part of our well-being. And not only as part of our well-being, sometimes when we are inside of the classroom, it can be any student's age. It can be teenagers, very young students, or even adults. We start a class and we say, oh my God, they are not paying attention. What can I do to call their attention? Sometimes we say, hey, yeah, Mario, hey, you. And we start even having with a bad mood or a bad attitude towards the class. No, change it, vary it. Change and vary your activities. You can ask them to stand up, no matter if they're adults. Ask them to stand up, breathe in, breathe out, sit down. Now, or maybe you can change the dynamic. You can even be using the language. Tell me something positive that happened to you today. Tell me a very good word you love saying. You would be practicing the language. Their mindset, your students' mindset would be changing, and they at the same time you are providing them a learning opportunity. Because it happens that when we get into the classroom, you say, my God, how am I going to start? They're not paying attention. They're somewhere else. So how can I hold their attention? Brain gym could be a good option. Breathing in can support. And asking about positive things will help us a lot. Not only them, because as they are many in a negative mood, or sometimes they say, they start complaining about the teacher who was before, who gave classes before us. Don't try not to listen to negative comments. If you listen to them, try to change them into something positive. Don't compliment them by telling negative stuff. Remember, every time we move, or when we are steady and when we are quiet and without thinking about positive stuff, we spill. We are not being positive. Remember, create a positive dynamic in your class and help students develop learning strategies. Learning strategies goes to be happy the way they are learning. And I cannot they cannot be positive if I'm not positive. If I say, yo sé que if we even say that in Spanish, ya sé que este tema es muy difícil. Okay, me, the teacher says, this topic is difficult. How are they going to overcome this? They will start the first words I said as a teacher, or the first phrase was negative. What are they going to get? Something negative. So it means that everything starts with me. Try to create a positive dynamic in your group by helping students using collaborative strategies and interpersonal skills. Use evaluation checklist. It is important to mention that we have to be aware about what we are doing. So it is not, I know that sometimes grading is difficult, but if I ask my students to assess themselves, check what they are doing, they would say, sí es cierto, this is what I need to practice. Yeah, and it is not you, the one who has to tell Mario or whomever what he or she has to review. Then create positive dynamic in class, helping students developing learning strategies to face challenges outside the classroom. Cyberbullying, most of us have suffered of cyberbullying. Sometimes we make comments or we publish something and they're bad comments. Be careful with this. Or sometimes we are not writing those bad comments or bad words. We think about them. And when we think about bad things, all this is inside our blood, and this is not part of our well-being. It's normal thinking, this person is showing up. Okay, it's normal. But go to something positive. When we're talking about cyberbullying, we are suffering of this terrible issue. This is something that we are facing, or we are frequently facing nowadays. And this is part of digital literacy, and be aware that digital literacy is also part of our well-being. Be careful for the things you look for in internet, and be careful about the things you ask your students to look in internet. Do I have to look for something intelligent in internet? Do I have to look for terrible things? Is there a need to do this? What should I look? This is also, digital literacies are also part of well-being. Being able and have the possibility to look for things that are useful for our lives, not only for learning, but also for our lives. Then, metacognitive activities. All those activities that make you think and reflect and deal with challenges are very positive for your well-being. If you challenge your mind, it means you are working with your mind, and this is going to support or to be part of your well-being. It is not a matter of, what do I do? ¿Qué hago? I don't have anything to do. No, be creative. Challenge yourself. Every time you challenge yourself with something new, you will go to self-reflection. And when you are self-reflecting, you are working with your well-being. Challenge yourself. Today I answered this question. Maybe they are interesting questions that we can find even in internet. Challenges. Oh, tomorrow I go for a different one. I'm learning about different countries. I'm learning about curious facts. I'm learning about history. I'm learning about geography. I'm challenging myself. Use those metacognitive activities that make you think and reflect. Think about thinking. Then, many institutions use yoga inside. I know that according to your student's profile and the classes you deliver, you cannot give yoga lessons. I understand, and that's normal. We're not talking about an elementary school with extra hours. No. But you can use yoga mind. Yoga mind would be breathing in, breathing out, maybe sometimes moving body movements that can make me feel better. We can even be aware about my posture, right? Sometimes we're giving a classes like this, or when we are working online, and this is 7 at night, we say, okay, students, please open your microphones, answer. I'm tired, but I need to be aware about my posture. If I need, you always need to have water next to you. When we drink water, oxygen comes inside our body, and our mind starts opening. And sometimes when we feel even dizzy and sleepy, drink some water and breathe in, and you will notice that anxiety and that sleeping mood that you were having will be relieved. So these are little changes that we can do in our everyday life, and this will help us a lot. Be careful about your posture, breathing, as I mentioned, and stretching. Being sitting down for about 2 or 3 hours in front of a computer, it's not healthy. Don't worry. And we know we have to do it because that's part of our job. After every hour or 1 hour and a half, stand up. It is acceptable to say, now let's change the dynamic. Everybody stand up. Let's move. Let's move 1 second. Okay, every time I say the word, I don't know, we can even play with the students. Every time you notice they're not paying attention online, stand up. Stand up, because you will wake up, not only them, also us. We need to be positive throughout all these little facts that sometimes we forget. Try to be an effective listener. Show interest and curiosity when you are delivering a class, and not only when you're delivering a class, when you are talking to people. Create a gratitude journal, not for the students, for us as human beings. I have here an idea about a gratitude jar. I know you know it all. You know this. This is not something new for you, but be aware that this can help you a lot. Sometimes we're a bit negative. What can we do? Write 1 or 3 things every day. Not 3, maybe 3 is too much. Write 1 thing, positive thing that happened to you today. You put it inside the jar. And when you feel run down, when you feel bad, when you feel sad, open the jar and read at least 4 little papers. Your attitude would change. You would say, okay, I'm suffering this is happening to me. But all these little papers, I have lived all these little papers and are part of my mental state. I'm changing my mood. And these little papers are changing my mood, my way of thinking, my way of reacting to different situations. So this is going to support us. Remember, everything well-being starts here in our mind, in our body. If our mind and our body are in the best state and mood, we would be living a balanced well-being. Then let's take actions. Cover short-term goals into long-term results. So we need to plan little things to have great results. Start from something little things. And then these little things will take you to long-term results. How can I start this? Okay, maybe I always arrive to my job, to my class, to the office, whatever, late. Why? Because I am supposed to wake up at 6 in the morning and I wake up at 6:30. My God, 30 minutes and I get late to the office or to the institution. So start, okay, this week, I promise myself to wake up at 6. But it's going to be an order from me, not from the coordinator, not from my mom, not from my husband, from my wife. It has to be me. And you will notice that if you wake the time you are supposed to, you will arrive to the job or to the institution or to whatever on time. You will feel more relaxed. After doing an activity for 20 consecutive days, this is going to be part of your routine. You will feel relaxed and you will not have problems. But start with something little. Little things that go to long-term results. Introduce class contact. Every learner and every person needs to be listened, needs to be engaged with you. And here I'm mentioning the word self-evaluation. But self-evaluation not for the others, also for me. I need to self-evaluate myself. I need to know how to support the others, but I need to know how to support myself. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And we need to work with this single step if we want to work with a self-balanced life and a well-being in our lives. Now, I would like to know, how are you feeling now that we have just talked a little bit about feelings and about well-being? How do you feel now? In scale from 1 to 10, when 1 is low spirits and 5 is medium and 10 is high energy. I would like to know in the chat box, 8, 7. Well, hope this number has moved. I wouldn't like to know that you started with 1 and ended with 1, or you wrote 5 and ended with 5. For me, giving you this session was making you reflect. By now, you can say I have a low spirit, and it's normal because you are reflecting. Or maybe you say, no, I have a higher energy because now I know what I have to do. It is not a matter of keeping that 5 or 7 or 8 you mentioned. It is a matter of having a change. Maybe I have a low spirit now because I'm reflecting. Oops. I hope